All right, so if I did this right, it should be going instantly live. You never know with YouTube because it's not Twitch, even though it tries to be. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me know. Hope everybody's doing well today. Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. We're going to be taking a look at a fan film. I'll be doing it once right now, and probably I'll do it again tonight so people can see. Welcome to... All right, so you guys can hear me okay. And... yeah, so we're going to be looking at the Romulan War, the specific fan film that has come out. I'm very excited. Got Locutus up in the house. Hope you doing well, Locutus. Hope how you doing, buddy? How you doing? German Trekkie, who is working on our collaboration, which we should have out today. I believe we are rendering that, and the teaser for what's to come will be out soon. Though I've already given hints to it, we're not going to say much more about it. Definitely should check out his channel and subscribe. So this is actually done by a local for me, director, guy by the name of Mark. I've actually went out to lunch with Mark, and I think we're going to do some projects. We had some projects planned before, but they got canceled because of the pandemic and everything. So we will, what's going on, Captain Trek? So we will hopefully be getting back into that. And I think that, so I'll say this. There are some writing choices, some story choices that he decided to do that I probably wouldn't have gone with. However... I do think they're fine. I think they're all right. He also uses footage from other series. In some instances, I mean, it's fine. I don't know how I feel about it. I'll be interested in your opinion. At the end of this, we're going to go and say something nice to him, though, because if we're going to sit here and watch it, we should definitely go over there and support the channel. Subscribe, if not actually watch it again from his point of view. I have gotten permission from him to watch this live, though. So you guys ready? Are you excited? Because I'm excited. I'm so excited. I just can't you see? Date went well yesterday. She's probably watching right now, even though she's not going to say anything. All right, let me see. You guys should be able to see it now. Let me know. Beno22 is cool in the house. Let's go. Let's do this. All right, I'm going to test it out really quick. Make sure you guys can hear it. Let me know if you can hear it, okay?
Bases operating during the war.
Can you hear that?
Salem 1 existed
How's
for
that
one
versus
reason,
my voice?
to demonstrate that Earth was...
Is that okay? I'm doing well, Kalium. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? How you doing? All right. So here's the thing I'm going to say. I may stop it to talk in some instances. This is a back and forth. If you don't want to hear me talking... If that's not your bag, baby, hold on. Then you can listen to me typing instead, because that's the way all this works. Because you're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now, and it's not my fault. There it is. All right. Here we go. Let's rock it. Also, I'll say this. It's my understanding he actually came up with the documentary idea before Alec did. I think. I could be wrong on that, but I think he's the one that came up with it before Alec.
Accessing library computer data.
He did work with Trek Yards.
Despite the tragedy on Corridon, Prime Minister Samuels, with assistance from Captain Archer, finalizes the details on the first trade and security pact of its kind in known space. On March 11th, 2155, the Coalition of Planets Compact is signed in San Francisco. Charter members include United Earth and her colonies, the Alpha Centauri Concordium, the United Planets of Tellar, the Andorian Empire, and the Vulcan Confederacy. As the Coalition worlds celebrate their new alliance, Admiral Valador's fleet is well underway towards Berengaria 7, a world recently chosen by the United Earth Space Probe Agency.
So, something my understanding is, too, is that, just to point out, well, you're welcome, Mungarin. He did work with Trek Yard. Some of this is Samuel Cocking's animations, is my understanding. And no, it has some of his original works, too. Watch, it's not just taking all of the old footage. This isn't, what do you think this is, Lore Reloaded? Nah, fam, he creates original content.
To serve as the location for Earth's first starbase. United Earth Starbase 1, also known as Station Salem 1, was located in non-aligned space near several major trade routes used by the spacefaring species across the region.
Unlike the other two starbases operating during the war, Salem 1 existed for one reason: to demonstrate that Earth was ready to become a key player in interstellar affairs. The station offered a variety of services: repair, resupply. There were shore leave facilities, hydroponics, aeroponics. There were tours to the planet below, which was as close to Risa as you could get within 4 parsecs. All of this went a long way in demonstrating that Earth was absolutely committed to the ideals of peace and mutual cooperation.
So yeah, as I said, you're going to see some of the old stuff as well as different series in there that kind of meshes together. He does do his he puts his own footage in there. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if Axanar came out too. I agree. It would be great if the Axanar movie actually came out.
The Romulans, however, had other ideas about Earth's rising new influence in interstellar affairs.
This is United Earth Starship Atlantis to unidentified alien ships. Alter approach immediately or we would be forced to take action. Captain, I'm reading an energy spike. All hands to battle stations. We've lost computer control. Radiological on the outer marker. They have nukes.
So one thing right here, and you know it's funny because I get pegged on it. Something hits them, the computer goes out, and the people talking still are talking as if they're in communications, as if they're doing it over radio. But the actual communication is probably happening within the ship itself, so they wouldn't have that. However, had he taken that away and had it actually sound like the voice, he would have got pegged, and people would say, why isn't he talking on a radio? They should be talking on a radio. You know how I know? Because I got pegged. Me and German Trekkie got pegged. Even though those two are talking to each other, there'd be no radio voice. People, when they look at a ship, expect everyone to be talking through a radio. Not saying that's annoying to me.
This is the commander. We are under attack. All Starfleet personnel report to emergency stations at once. This is not a drill.
Captain, troop cruisers are headed for the civilian ships. Move to intercept. Let's try to give them some cover. Main powers fading.
How is it responding?
Hold your fire. We have women and children on board. Deploy PDCs.
Point defense standing by.
So that comes up a little bit later. 14 Kalium wasn't one of the key things of the Romulan War that only the Earth ships were immune to these kinds of attacks. Is this in a book somewhere or something? I've never seen this. This is honestly from... I thought it was just pulled from Battlestar Galactica. You'll understand what's happening to him in a second. And it's one of the story arcs that I wouldn't have done personally. But maybe they got it from a book, that the Romulans are just able to disable ships.
Full speed ahead, now.
They're doing something to the reactor. Can't engage the warp drive.
nearly 6,000 were killed in space and on the ground at Berengaria. It was the largest single loss of human life since the Zindi incident. In Geneva, the United Earth Parliament's Security Council votes unanimously to declare war against the Romulan Star Empire. Later that day, the UE General Assembly approves the war resolution, which directs Prime Minister Nathan Samuels to form a war cabinet. Samuels immediately turns to his most trusted advisors, Admiral Gregory Black of Starfleet Command and General George Casey, Supreme Commander of the Mako. Black and Casey have their work cut out for them. An industry based on exploration and commerce must be transformed into a military machine virtually overnight. Starfleet Command scrambles to recruit crew members and to build or refit ships as quickly as possible to face the Romulan Navy. Meanwhile, Admiral Valdor is given new orders by the Praetor to secure an unexplored star system known as Algernon. Its location is strategically useless to Valdor, and yet the Praetor demands Algernon for reasons known only to him.
Take her out.
So he does it in chapters. I actually really like that. That it's broken down like that. Yeah, I mean, so you're saying that this is from Fossa? That's where they're pulling it from? I'm not the largest fan of that plotline, I gotta be honest. I would much prefer the Romulans just to have the ability to just wipe the floor on a surprise attack. That seems much more... I mean, it's fine that they have the virus, but I don't know. But we'll get more into it.
Mr. Mayweather.
Starfleet Captain Jonathan Archer, whose ship and crew had survived a hostile first contact with the Romulans, leads the Coalition of Planets' first expeditionary force. Their mission, to engage and repel the Romulan threat.
The Coalition combined wasn't ready for a war against the Romulans. It had only been a month since the destruction of Salem 1. Not nearly enough time for Starfleet to get on a war footing. Not that it would have mattered. What happened there was a humiliation.
Archer to fleet. Tactical alert.
When a listening post at Algernon goes dark, the Coalition fleet finds itself up against the Romulan war machine for the first time.
There was no way for Captain Archer to know, for any of them to know what we had in store for them.
Attack Vector 177. Fire.
So here's my thing about this too, and it's interesting. Again, I really like Mark. He's going to be on the show very shortly, and I'm hoping to network with him and do some cool stuff. For me, though, when looking at the story, it was a month that they got hit with that weapon, right? And we saw specifically a Vulcan ship get away. So they were aware of this EMP or whatever it is. We don't know at this point in the story. And they're going up against it without any precautions. I mean, maybe they did, and it just doesn't talk about it. It's just interesting. It's just interesting. Well, it says what it is, Armagdud, in the future. So for this story, we'll know definitively what it is. But it's just interesting that they didn't try to combat it. Or if they did, and that was meant to be in the story, I would have had a line by one of the Federation documentarians saying that they weren't ready. They tried to throw something together to combat it, and so whatever. That's just my piece of view. I really do enjoy this. Again, it's kind of jarring because I know all of the different series that they're pulling from, but overall,
main power is down.
Registering an unknown threat to core computer systems.
The device was a highly sophisticated computer virus which could incapacitate and then take control of an enemy ship's main computer functions.
Rocket ship, disengage your weapons immediately.
Acting like a virus, the Romulans' new weapon leaves the Coalition fleet helpless.
Primary systems have failed.
Since most of the other advanced races, the Andorians, the Tellarites, had appropriated Vulcan computer technology over the years, the Romulans' telecapture weapon was effective on them too. Ironically, Starfleet ships were able to recover the quickest because the Vulcans hadn't been sharing their computer technology with Earth.
I like that.
Completely unprepared
I like
for the
adding
Romulans'
that.
insidious new weapon, the Coalition fleet is forced to retreat. And once again, Captain Archer must yield to the Romulans.
The Romulans barely fired a shot. They had nearly complete control over a dozen ships from 4 different alien navies. That's just amazing. I mean, how do you defeat an adversary that has that kind of advantage over you?
So, again, and this may come back from beta canon or whatnot. For me, I would have more... if I'm writing the Romulan War, I would have had the Romulans attack and destroy something like they did, but then the Vulcans and Tellarites pull out, with the Andorians unsure but still willing to fight personally. So, Vulcans didn't share with the Andorians. What he was saying is that the Vulcans appropriated Vulcan technology, so they stole it.
The Battle of Alderaan wasn't just a military defeat for the coalition of planets. It was a political defeat.
I'm assuming that right there they were supposed to have a tractor beam. Well, no, he could have the tow cables. I guess he has the tow cables
As well. The debacle gives First Minister T'Pau the reason she needs to withdraw Vulcan's military forces from the conflict indefinitely. Back on Alderaan 4, Romulan science teams find a key piece to a puzzle they've been scouring the Beta Quadrant for. Buried deep in the ruins of a long-lost Debrune colony lies an ancient map, one which has obsessed the D'Deridex family for generations.
For in the words of the poet, the seekers shall be unsundered, and all shall dwell in the shadow of the raptor's wing.
A map Praetor D'Deridex believes will allow the Romulans to rule the entire galaxy.
Captain's log, May 4th, 2156. It's been 6 hours and still no sign of our escort. I can only assume.
Romulan vessel, break off your attack. We're a medical ship. We have no means to challenge you. I repeat, this is the medical ship Nightingale. We're on a mission of mercy. We mean you no harm. Break off your attack.
Over the next several months, Admiral Valdor's fleet continues to apply pressure on Earth by attacking cargo ships along the major trade routes in the region.
The Romulans have been attacking boomer ships in the Earth cargo service. Their fleet is stretched thin, and even when they can give us an escort, they are outgunned.
Where did they come from? Make a run for it. We'll give you some cover.
The Romulans are a bunch of goddamn... they're cowards.
Hold your fire! We are not a warship!
Admiral Valdor's strategy to target only Earth ships makes it difficult for Starfleet to rally support from the other coalition powers.
I have received very specific instructions from my government. The Andorian Imperial Guard will not aid Earth or Earth-aligned vessels at this time.
See, so right here, that's the one. First off, I love that Photoshop right there. That's clever. You can tell it's a Photoshop, but it's clever bringing all of them in like that. That's one of the key points I disagree with too. Again, overall, it's good. It's his story. It's his story, so he can tell it any way he wants. But for me, if I was writing it, I just think the Andorians would stay in. Now, maybe it was just Shran. Maybe Shran was a huge ally of Archers, but and even that's not completely true because we see them Andorians in the alternate universe where humans are wiped out by the Xindi. I just think the Andorians would probably stand by them. The only piece to that specifically is, I guess, in the Romulan War, we know that the coalition was fractured. So it's interesting. I'm not convinced I would have done that specifically, but it makes for a good story. Makes for an interesting story. This is like, so Charles, I talked about this before. This is like Axanar. Ironically, Mark had this idea and started before Axanar did. He just doesn't have the funds that Alec had at the time.
Earth now finds itself alone, isolated during her darkest hour, and the worst was yet to come. The Alpha Centauri Concordium of planets.
So, Mike, I'm going to say this because you brought it up a couple of times. And this is my hot take that most people who love Axanar don't appreciate. CBS, I feel like, was in the right to do to Axanar what they did. I think that Axanar overstepped its bounds. I was there when it first started. They were going to use Star Trek properties to make money and build their own studio. I saw it. I read it myself. Now, they may have changed their minds after that, but the cease and desist for Axanar was legit. I do think that CBS overreacted with their stupid guidelines that they did. I don't think CBS is as there's evidence to show that CBS generally turned their back on fan films, even multi-million fan films, and that caused a lot of issues because a Star Trek license gets you a lot of money. And the licensees who were actually paying were getting upset, and then Axanar does what it does. I think they overreacted, but I think CBS was right in the cease and desist.
The Alpha Centauri Concordium of planets was home to the largest settlement of humans outside of Earth's solar system.
I agree, Mike.
By 2156, Alpha Centauri was a hub of interstellar travel, trade, and commerce, a shining symbol of humanity's trek to the stars. Starfleet Command had warned the Alphans to shore up their defenses, but they wouldn't listen. These were people who'd earned their prosperity, and they weren't about to just walk away from it.
On May 22nd, 2156, a Romulan attack fleet walked in at strategic points across the Alpha Centauri cluster.
They refused to believe that they could be a target. They thought the Romulans were Earth's problem, not theirs. A beautiful summer's morning on Alpha 3, and not a cloud in the sky. Just bombs.
Boom! Boom! Drop the mic. Dat dialogue, though.
There was no warning whatsoever. These were just civilian colonies with no way to defend themselves. The Romulans butchered them.
It had been over a century since humans had seen the effects of nuclear weapons firsthand.
Cylons are known to be a part of the Romulan Star Empire. There's a lot of lawsuits over it. That's just science fact.
They were crude but effective weapons designed to instill the proper amount of terror and fear into the enemy.
I expected him
the
to
Centauri massacre was the largest single loss of human life in the entire war. Nearly 500,000 innocent civilians were killed in less than an hour.
The attack on the Centauri colonies was motivated by politics. However, the Centauri massacre only served to enrage the humans and strengthen their resolve.
The call for Romulan blood was deafening, and it was one that Starfleet could not ignore. The United Earth Security Council unanimously approves the use of Earth's nuclear weapons stockpile, which had been mothballed for nearly a century. Earth decides to fight fire with fire. Their only hope for retribution lay in the Unroth system.
Something tells me the Romulans don't abide by the Geneva Convention. There's been no alpha or beta canon that confirms or denies that, but I just get the point that I just get the inkling that maybe they don't listen to the Geneva Convention.
4 years earlier, Starfleet made first contact with the Romulan Star Empire at Unroth when Captain Archer's ship, Enterprise, hit a cloaked Romulan mine. This time at Unroth, Starfleet knows the lay of the land. Using Captain Archer's previous scanning methods, the Starfleet task force is able to quickly clear the minefield around the planet.
Now that looks familiar. That looks vaguely.
Starfleet scanned the planet and found some kind of mining operation. That was a good enough target for them.
The humans' need for revenge prevailed, and that was fortunate for the Empire. The truth is that there was no mining operation on Unroth 3. It was the site of an archaeological expedition that had concluded and was preparing to leave the planet. Had Starfleet investigated our presence there, they might have learned of the Predator's obsession. The humans' bloodlust made them impulsive, and our scientists were able to continue the search for the final key without further interruption.
Even though only a few dozen Romulans were killed on Unroth, the Praetor uses the incident to move his people to action.
Citizens and subjects, it is with great sorrow that I must reveal to you now a new threat, the likes of which we have never seen before. Humans.
I get the reason for it. It's shorthand to talk to the audience. It's just funny for me that all of this is like in VHS. They're using a VHS static effect to make it look like the footage has been burned or is old. And I get why. It's shorthand, and no one but someone who's been in film school is going to notice it. But they would have HD quality during this time.
Savage and belligerent slave race of the Vulcans launched a nuclear strike against the peaceful inhabitants of our outpost on Unroth 3. More than 1 million Romulans, men, women, children, were incinerated in their homes as they slept. These alien butchers, these humans,
what did he just say? These Aryan butchers. Aryan.
Butchers. These humans must pay for their treachery, and they shall. I call upon you, citizens and subjects of the Romulan Star Empire, to stand with me now as one. Death to the humans and their Vulcan puppet masters! Jolan True!
Jolan True, yo. Little known fact. That specific greeting right there is well-known military across all militaries. Short fat otaku, all of your messages have to be approved. That's weird. If you ever see a United States or United Kingdom or any military soldier, and even German ones, do that to them. They love that. That's a sign of respect. So if you put it on your heart and then you come out like that, every military person will take that respectfully and will like you better for that. So do that to every one of them that you see. All right, let's continue on. Yeah, I'm not even joking, SFO. All of your, anytime you talk, it requires approval.
By the end of the day, nearly 70,000 Romulan youth had enlisted in the Imperial Armed Forces, a major propaganda victory for the Praetor.
Say something that's not a curse word. I'll do a screenshot.
6, an M-class planet in the Alpha Quadrant, where Earth scientists discovered the remains of an ancient alien civilization. Attracting Earth's finest scholars and scientists, the mysteries of Altair were the foundation on which an entire archaeological tourism industry was built.
It had no strategic value, and yet the Romulans wanted Altair 6, and they wanted it badly.
With reinforcements weeks away, Task Force Delta is quickly overwhelmed.
Fire phasers!
Let's see if I do this.
The colony is under attack. Evacuate to an emergency shelter immediately.
just made
While
you an
thousands
admin.
were killed on Altair, the Romulans inexplicably spared the colony from the mass destruction they'd inflicted on Alpha Centauri.
The Romulans are dozens of light years from their core systems, and here they are digging in the mud on at least 3 remote planets. Why? What are they looking for? How does all this help them win the war?
The reason for the Romulans' interest in Altair, Algernon, and the other worlds in Coalition territory would remain a mystery for the
It's just me, but something happened. You are allowed now. Something happened to the voiceover. His voiceover sounds weird. I'm not sure what happened.
time being. As Admiral Valdor's navy campaigns through Earth space, back on Romulus, domestic issues are beginning to spin out of the Praetor's control. When a mining accident on Remus kills hundreds, Praetor Dederidex exploits the disaster to his own political advantage. He claims the accident was a sneak attack by Earth forces which demands a strong response.
Oh, Ace, I'm glad you joined. This is actually Season 6, a Season 6 TNG episode. It's kind of interesting. They did like a faux documentary and stuff like that. You know how they do? So if you go to TNG... No, I'm sorry, not Season 6. It's a Season 8 episode. So go to TNG on Netflix, go to Season 8. It's the first episode right there.
Against Valdor's opposition, the Praetor orders a direct assault on the Andorian homeworld.
The Romulans had good intel on Vulcan and Earth. They had virtually nothing on Andoria. They didn't know the enemy's fleet strength or its deployment. They didn't know if their approach would be detected. Hell, they didn't even know if there were navigational hazards in system. And there were, as they'd find out.
For the first time since the conflict began, the Romulans were going into battle without the tactical advantage. Earth and Andorian forces were ready and waiting.
Captain Stiles and Captain Shran were preparing for a counteroffensive. And
Yeah,
they were on
I agree.
training
This
maneuvers
was
when
stupid.
the Romulans arrived. So not only do the Romulans have bad intelligence, they're also attacking...
Okay, I'll go back so you guys can listen to this. I was messing with Ace, Internet Fighter Pilot. There isn't a Season 8 TNG. It stops at Season 7. That's why I chose Season 8. This is a fan film. I actually just shared. We're gonna talk about this after we watch it, but you guys should go and do a like for them as well. And yeah, I got 166 people watching and only 54 likes. Hit that like button, people.
Ready and waiting.
Captain Stiles and Captain Shran were preparing for a counteroffensive, and they were on training maneuvers when the Romulans arrived. So not only do the Romulans have bad intelligence, they're also attacking an enemy on their home turf while they're in the middle of a war games exercise. The timing couldn't have been worse.
Attention all vessels. Relvia Station has reported unauthorized movement on the designated vector. We are switching to condition black. This is not a drill.
Our sensors show 12 cruisers approaching.
Confirmed. Captain Stiles to the fleet. Reconfigure for combat operations. This is no damn drill. We're at red alert. Captain Tran, hold position until they've made their turn.
All right, so it's getting into the big one, but let's talk about that a second. Guys, I appreciate you watching this. If this is annoying you, then you can definitely go and watch the full episode. I said I was going to do some discussions too. I don't want to get too much into it, but here's the thing. Why is this legal? Why is this allowed? First off, technically this does go against the guidelines, but the guidelines are always said, if you do this, we're not going to sue you. It never said, if you don't do this, we are. Axanar went way over the fold. Axanar did something different that every other one didn't. Star Trek Continues, any of the others. It tried to make a studio off the Star Trek product. It did. I'm sorry. That said, CBS actually, for as horrible as they were, Star, you can go watch it on your own if you'd like, buddy. CBS, for as evil as they are, actually were supportive of fan films up to that point, but that had pushed it over. But yeah, Star, hold on. If you guys want to watch this and not watch it on mine, which I completely understand, I'm not even upset about it, you can do it right here. Did this come out before the guidelines? No, this is after. This came out yesterday. Anyone else find it odd and NX is the center? Usually the position is reserved for the ship of highest tactical value. It's what the people recognize.
Relvia Station has reported unauthorized movement on the designated vector. We are switching to condition black.
So not only do the Romulans...
Star Ellington, my sweetie, my love, the little cherry in my chocolate devour. I'm sorry I called you buddy, but know that I love you, my turtle dove.
Have bad intelligence. They're also attacking an enemy on their home turf while they're in the middle of a war games exercise. The timing couldn't have been worse.
Attention all vessels. Relvia Station has reported unauthorized movement on the designated vector. We are switching to condition black. This is not a drill.
Our sensors show 12 cruisers approaching.
Confirmed. Captain Stiles to the fleet. Reconfigure for combat operations. This is no damn drill. We're at red alert. Captain Tran, hold position until they've made their turn.
We've intercepted these coordinates.
This wasn't a colony or a starbase.
This does something I
It was the
like. I'll
enemy's
talk
home
about it
system.
after.
The Battle of Andoria wasn't the first time politics got in the way of good military strategy, and it wouldn't be the last. But it was certainly one of the Romulans' largest blunders of the war.
Our ship, open fire. This is Challenger. We're on the Marauder. Stay on top of him. Don't give him a chance to use that.
We've lost computer control. Main power is fading.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right here because I knew that it would piss Star off. Star, if you keep commenting about how much you hate it, that does so much more for me than you hitting the like or dislike button, man. The more you stay triggered and stay watching and stay commenting, the better my channel does. All right, we continue.
Our shields are down.
We've been targeted. They're carrying atomics.
I've done it 3 times, awesome. I'll do it again though.
Come in. Do you read? Destroy that Marauder now before it incapacitates the rest of the fleet.
Bomb rate.
Evasive maneuvers, Ensign.
I can't shake them. They're matching us.
All hands, brace for impact.
Romulan drones, OP.
Engineering reports warp drive is down.
We could use some help.
I'll be your B, Star, but you're gonna have to talk to my girlfriend. We're into BDSM, and I don't know that she'd like me taking that with you. We'll have to talk about it later.
Here. You have an inbound hostile in your position. Take evasive action immediately. This is Stiles. What's the situation, General? The Marauder took down half the fleet's systems. Groups 3 and 6 are trying to regroup and finish off the cruisers, but that dreadnought has pushed through the skirmish line. It's on a direct course for the homeworld. They are definitely packing nukes. We're reading 2 dozen of them at 50 megatons each. Shred, can you reach that dreadnought? Shred. This is Imperial Command calling any ship capable of fighting. The enemy missile carrier must be stopped.
Captain's log, final entry. We're out of torpedoes and our phaser batteries are drained, but the engines still have a little left in them.
Stiles to engineer. Ramming speed.
I still remember the words which assured a grieving nation some 150 years ago when the first spaceship named Challenger was lost. Sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all a part of the process of exploration and discovery. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. We shall never forget them as they slip the surly bonds of Earth to touch the face of God.
Captain Stiles' sacrifice was not lost on the Andorians. And thanks to the actions of Challenger, millions were spared.
While the Battle of Andoria proved that the Romulan Navy could be beaten, some harsh realities remained. After 2 years of fighting, Earth had lost nearly half her fighting ships. 3 Earth colonies had fallen. and Starfleet Command still had no idea what their enemy looked like or where to find them. If something didn't change soon, all would be lost.
See, so yeah, this is again, there were some story elements I wouldn't have necessarily done, but I really think that this is pretty good. We're gonna have Mark on in the future. He's the one that really put all this together, and discussing it. Hopefully part 2 will be coming out fairly shortly. I know that they got everything they need. I hate that they actually do it into a part 2. He really could have combined all of it. But yeah, so that was the Romulan War. I think it ended really good. It ended on a great point. So let's do this real quick before you guys leave, because now that we watched it, I know all of y'all are going to be heading out. Click on this and go give a comment and say, hey, Lore Reload said, hey, or I just watched it, it's great, or something like that. Just say you enjoyed it. Like, this was really awesome. Can't wait for part 2. But yeah, so the Romulan War is something that is really underutilized, I think. It's probably the only prequel that I'd be interested in doing that isn't specific, that isn't like post DS9, because I think everything should be post DS9. Again, he did some interesting things here. Some stuff I wouldn't have completely agreed with, but would have done. What are your guys' thoughts? How would you have done the Romulan War? And go take a look at it on your own. If you guys want to, leave here and take a look at it, you're not hurting my feelings. I completely understand. It's worth watching and giving him the view time. For sure, as well as the like and the comment. Except for Star. I hope Star stays, because he's talking about how he wants to get into BDSM with me. I'm really into that, so I'm hoping that I'm going to give him my phone number, and then we can talk with my girlfriend. We need a new bottom, so if Star could stay and talk about that. DS9 is still the best. I would completely agree on that. I wonder if they're going to... do a series in the Romulan War. I wouldn't be surprised, because they really do. A lot of people really want it. Oh, so let me say this too. So let's talk about Axanar versus this. A lot of people saying this should be illegal. How are they able to do this? What's going on? So generally, the way CBS used to work when it came to licensed stuff, CBS, believe it or not, was pretty chill about fan films, even multi-millions like Star Trek Continues. And the reason why they were chill is because it's just good business for them, right? However, they did get a lot of heat and hate when it came to the licenses. So people would buy a license, and licenses cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. And so you'd have games wanting to license this stuff out, and or other properties want to license this stuff out. And sometimes the licensees would get pretty pissed off when they see Star Trek Continues. CBS ignored it for the most part. Then Axanar came out, and again, regardless of what you think of behind the scenes, Axanar came out and did try to build a studio off of the property. And that's basically saying, we don't need your license, we'll use it anyway, because you let other companies do it. Then CBS came back and they hit too hard. I agree. I think the film guidelines are stupid. And they even took out, there was another one coming out that would have been really cool, and they took him out too, and I forget his name. And it was just unfortunate for him, and they overreacted. And so that's why that was the way it was. I'd have loved to have seen a Romulan War series, much like the Cold War submarine standoffs, both sides with very itchy triggers. I mean, watching this makes me want to get with German Trekkie and do like a full-on series, you know? They really do. Tommy Kraft, that's exactly who it was. Tommy Kraft. I've talked with Tommy Kraft. He's an awesome, just one of the most creative guys. Tommy Kraft was absolutely who it was. He got caught in the crossfire, unfortunately. And I hate that, because he could have done so much, and he was not doing what Axanar had been doing at the time. I cannot stand that. So, you know, I'd love to get your take on the war. Yeah, I don't know. I'm learning Blender specifically, so maybe if me and him can work in tandem, we might do it. I don't know. The more I do this, the more it takes, though. I mean, this channel could become an E.C. Henry, effectively, because it'd be all I'd be doing. I'll be honest, I just like the Ares. No, and don't even get me... So it's not even necessarily a negative impact on Axanar. I think Axanar is so beautifully done. I think it's well acted. I think it's put together well. I sincerely want to see what they were going to do, and I hope we do see it. I don't know that we will, but I hope we do. It's not even... It's what happened. It's just the facts. It's not even speaking negatively of it. So... I admire the effort made by this guy. The Romulan War has not really been covered. This is not canon, so I'm on board with whatever is tried in his vision. Yeah, and, some of the acting was not my forte. Some people liked it. Some of it I did not. But overall, I like that he tried. I think he is... I think it's interesting. If you like the whole submarine warfare aspect of Romulan War, take on Starfleet Museum. I tried to blend it with Enterprise. Yeah, Venom, you had your own series. I don't think I've seen that. I'll have to take a look. Well, maybe I have. I don't know. I'll have to go look. But yeah, I do not fear the Klingon Empire. It'll be interesting to see where he goes with it. We know how it ends, of course. So, I don't. We'll have to see what they do with it specifically. I'd like to see some of the ancient powerful races come into play. If I was writing it, if it were me and I was doing it, I would specifically, I would have the coalition planets come together. I would have the Romulans not be known, like do hit and runs where they can't figure out who it is, causing some destabilization. I would make the Federation, I would make Starfleet seem inept. And then ultimately I'd have the Romulans do a full-out attack. The Vulcans would pull out, and they do basically what we see in Axanar. They'd pull out because they think that they can talk and that without them, that they'll have to do peace. The Tellarites ultimately would pull out because they don't like watching people dying. And the Andorians and Federation would stand alone. Ultimately, Starfleet would pull everyone together, and they would be coalition building, because that's what they always are in Star Trek anyway, and in Babylon 5 and basically everywhere. I think the captain of Styles was not a tossed balance of terror. I think, as one of the characters, Styles said, his family lost many members from this war. Yeah, I think that it was a tie-in too. His I get why they use that monologue. The monologue seemed a little too long for me. I don't know. Organians they're dropping the ball on this one, ain't they? I don't know if I'd include the Klingons in the Romulan War. I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I'd be interested what you guys think. Overall, it was really good, though. Overall, it was... And I would do a lot of drop-ins like that, too. I'd have a lot of names. Yeah, you guys, if you guys haven't watched, you guys who are here, watch Venom Geek Media 98. Weirdest name, reminds me of Windows 98, but he has a really good backlog of Trek stuff. He's a pretty good channel. Think we're gonna see Future Guy in Discovery Season 3? I don't know. I honestly don't. It depends on how much they pull the war into it, the time travel. I don't think they're going to do it. The Romulans were always manipulators, not direct combatants. Yeah, so one of the things, though, when it comes to the Romulans is they never got into a direct confrontation because they always lost. Every time they lost in direct confrontations. That's why they worked in the backgrounds. They were basically paper tigers. But to showcase that, I'd have them do a lot of... subterfuge, but I would have them have a direct war, because that would. I did a fan rewrite of Enterprise a while back and replaced the Klingons with the Orions. I wouldn't bring the Klingons into Enterprise at all. Don't need them in a Rom War story. I mean, to bring them in would be just to bring them in. Maybe this is where the Romulans learn not to fight directly. Wasn't it the Romulan War exactly where they got the treaty from. That's why they... No, I guess that was post-toss, wasn't it? So it wouldn't have been there. If Starfleet met the Cardassians in the early 23rd century, it'd be interesting if the Cardassians joined the Federation. Well, I've told you how I would write. The Cardassians would be a part of the Federation after the Dominion War. They just would. It makes no logical sense for them to do anything but that. There were a few novels written about the Romulan War for Star Trek Enterprise. No, I have not. I have not read any of them, alas. Official novels, but not strictly canon, yeah. No, I haven't. The only one that I've read, I read the, it's the one with the Accords, where the Romulans have cloaks that can go through matter, and they also have slipstream, like the Federation Alliance discovered slipstream, and they were stealing the slipstream technology and trying to reverse engineer it. It had Bashir and Esri and all of them. It's the one where you see the Breen were multiple races. Talk to you later, Top Gun. Thanks for coming, buddy. I think the Romulan playbook is to orchestrate and devastate from the shadows. You never truly know what they have hiding up their sleeves at any given time. Yeah. I mean, I like in the Romulan War that the Romulans were overpowering. That they had stayed in the shadows and have finally done it. What's going on? The Romulan War? We just watched you, buddy. Everybody was liking it. They enjoyed it. So the Romulan War is here. And that's Mark. He's going to be on the channel in a couple of days. Probably not today, but in a couple of days. So you guys definitely need to stay tuned for that. I've already told them. I hope they've been commenting. They should have been commenting because we've been watching your stuff, and I've told them to go over and take a look. Yeah, it's the Typhoon Pack is what it is. How about a series that moved in steps of 10 years for each season following the career of a Starfleet officer? Lore Runner had an interesting idea that was like that. That you... and it would... Because we were talking about how to do a fan film and what would be easier ways. And his thought was to do almost exactly that. To have officers come together every few years and discuss what's going on and watch what happened to them. Watch how everything's changed. It's an interesting concept. If done well, it could be really, really top-notch. You know, the Romulans might be the first civilization that won. Yeah, I have, yeah, Robert, I'm not really a fan of the super chats that feature me. I don't like that those are there. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not a fan. If you're still here, Romulan War, we had a couple of questions for you. Why, when it comes to the virus, why did you decide the virus? Is that being pulled from FOSSA, beta canon, or what was the specific reason for going that route? Because that's one of the things I'm not completely sure I would have went that way, but it's interesting to say the least. And I'd be curious. Again, we'll have Mark on in the next couple of days. We're going to be Zooming it and being online here. It'll be a fun conversation. I'm about to get off right now, or I'd invite you on. I think Romulans would be cool. It's in the books. I think Romulans would be cool if they had really good defensive abilities, but weren't good at invading. They'd be their most damage potential. I just tuned in. Are we talking about Star Trek Horizon fan film? We are not. We are talking about the Romulan War from the Romulan War channel. We actually just watched it and talked about it as we went through. If you want a pure watch where you don't have my commentary, go right here and take a look. And make sure to hit like and comment, because that helps out the channel more than you know. The telecapture hacking weapon was a tip of the hat to the novels and to Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, it felt very Battlestar Galactica. That's where I assumed the inspiration was coming from. I didn't know that it had been in the books. I hadn't read any of that. And they explained it a little bit, Mike, that the computers and consoles had been appropriated from the Vulcans, and that's how they hacked the systems using Vulcan code. I also liked, I'll tell you another part I liked, is where it didn't impact the Federation as much because they hadn't integrated, because Vulcans were holding back their technology. I thought that was a really nice touch. The Enterprise C is my favorite ship, that name because it saved history and the Federation. Indeed. I would have enjoyed seeing more Romulan-centered Dominion War episodes. I mean, who wouldn't have? Though the Romulans really didn't do much. They were basically a talking piece. I think that was the origin of the prefix code. Intriguing. All right, guys, anything else before I head out? Any questions for the Romulan War? Or, you know, you guys can talk to him here because I think he's still here. Or actually go over to his channel, subscribe, and ask them there. I mean, again, I appreciate you guys being here and all of the support, but you definitely should help him out too. Because, again, the more support and the more interest you guys show, the more popular the film gets, the more Mark's going to be able to do. Plus, you should tell him that he should work with the Lore Reloaded and take advantage of his camera skills and writing skills to make the best fan films that could ever be done. Bill, helping out the channel, Romulan War as a full season could be the way to bring back Enterprise. Yeah, I could see that. Considering how much Archer protested about it in the actual show, I find it ironic. Yeah, that would be... I mean, it was a good touch. That's definitely the way it should have went, if you're going to go that route. All right, I think we're going to end it here as well. Glad to see the Romulan War come in, buddy. Glad to see you, Mark. I'll be sending another email to you so that we can get together and actually talk about it. So stay tuned, guys. It'll probably be around this time in the next couple of days. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And the last thing, you got to go over here, hit that, tell them I said hi. I'm going to see you guys on the next Lore Reloaded. Oh, button number 2.